Hi, it's Paul from Model Builder International. What I'm going to look at today is 1/72 SU-27 SM2 flanker B. This is by Platz and with Zvezda's original plastic. Pretty impressive box art. So, don't forget to subscribe and let's have a look inside the box. Okay, so let's have a look inside the box. Like I said, I quite like the box art. It's very eye-catching. So, as you see on the top, it's the SM3 flanker B. The only real difference, I think, is aerials on the back here. Basically, the SM2 is the previous version updated. The SM3 is a new build that was built straight up to the latest or the newer version. Cartograph decals, 1/72. This is the Zvezda kit as before, which, if my research is true, is the latest set of sprues from anybody. So it's as good as an SU-27 as you're going to get. And then if we look on the side, we've got two decal options. What have we got on this side? Photographs of the decal options. On the back, we have these stands that Platz add, basically somewhere to stand the kit before it has its own wheels, and so it should come in handy. You have to cut at the bottom of the box a bit, but you're going to throw it away anyway. So let's have a look inside. We get a decal sheet. I've already opened this up. By Cartograph. Also, as per Platz, all the small decals are there, all the tiny little bits and pieces, but I'll have a closer look at that when I go through the instructions. 2 pages of instructions. Basically, one is where your smaller decals go, parts layout, and your painting scheme, and also where all the decals, where the big decals go. Notice you get a figure with this as well. This is all glossy paper, nice and clear. Shows you what to do with the stand, different ways to set it up. Usual thing, starts with the cockpit, pilot. Going through, these instructions are pretty much the same as the last one. I think the only difference comes in now where these aerials get fitted. It's one of these steps. I'll do it when I go through the instructions. I mean, there's one of these steps where there's some aerials that go on the spine that wasn't part of the previous instructions for the first release of this. And inside here, you get one big bag with all the parts in it. So I'll open this up and we'll have a look. So this is what's inside the bag. We've got one sealable bag with the clear parts, and 2 figures, one seated, one standing. We've got another sprue. Which one is this? Can't see, I think it's C, 7295C written on there. Missiles, engines, we have 2 of those sprues. Our main sprue with the front half of the top half of the fuselage. So you can see these are all broken down because obviously with the SU-27, that was basically the start of a family of aircraft. So you can make later versions of, was it SU-27? There's this 30, the 33, they're all sort of based off this. I think those are the right numbers. Anyway, some nice small parts in there in detail. Panel lines recessed. Look very nice, very fine recessed panel lines there. Look nice. Another sheet. This has got, looks like tail planes, nose cone. Nose cone is securely held on, which is good. You know, it's lots of the kits with these nose cones. The nose cones are loose in the bag by the time they get to you, but this one's pretty firmly held in place and at an angle as well. So that's a smart move. And undercarriage legs seem to have a nice detail on them as well. This is the main underneath. All these attachment points seem to be good. And then we have the last part, and that's good. So what we'll do now is we'll go through the instructions step by step and have a close look at some of the key parts, the critical part, the main parts for each of the steps. We'll have a look-see through and see what they look like up close. So this kit is 189 parts on 7 sprues and then another 7 clear parts on another sprue. Like I said earlier, it's the most recent SU-27 sprues that are on the market, originally done by Zvezda and redone by a couple of other companies as well as Platz now. So it starts off, let's have a look at the sprues. As you can see the parts throughout, there's nice detail on them. Attachment points are reasonable, they're pretty small and nothing outrageous. And the ejector pin marks are all out the way, so nothing to worry about. It's looking at the sprues, it's a good modern set of sprues. The other thing that Platz have added to this is on the bottom of the box is the stand. So that's a pretty neat thing. Platz always seems to take an existing set of sprues and then add something to it just to make it a little bit better. So let's start looking through the plastic. Okay, so looking at steps 1 and 2, so see here the cockpit tub doesn't have any detail on it, but you do have decals to provide the details, and there's also photo etch available from this, from Platz and from Eduard. So the cockpit should look okay with the decals in it when it's done. And the seat is made up of a few pieces. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces make up the seat. So that should look pretty neat when it's done. And if you wish, there's also a pilot figure to place in there, and he's made up of 3 pieces. Step 3 is where you put together the bulk of the aircraft. You fit the nose undercarriage bay into the bottom, and then you fit the 2-part top and the top half of the 2 wings. Don't forget, if you're going to fit missiles on the aircraft, you need to drill out some holes in the bottoms of the wings first. But it's fine detailed panel lines, so this all looks good. Steps 4 and 5 start off with adding a nose cone. No mention of any nose weight needed, but I'm pretty sure you're going to need it. And then you're adding basically smaller parts around the aircraft and the elevators, rudders, wingtip leading edges. So basically you're sort of adding pieces that make this into a SU-27, since I'm presuming they can use the same core parts for other versions of this family of aircraft. Then on to step 5, where you add the front of the canopy and a couple of pieces on the front of the nose. Step 6, we're putting the air intakes in place. If you look down them, there's a piece at the back so you can see the front of the engine. Obviously you need a flashlight and to hold the aircraft the right way to see that. Instructions on painting the interior of the intakes is there. And also at this stage, if you're going to fit this with the undercarriage up, you'd fit the gear bay doors. And there's a couple of fins underneath to go on there as well. Steps 7 and 8. 7 is putting together the engine exhausts. They look quite nice, and with some careful painting that'll make the most of those. Step 8 is all about the undercarriage. The undercarriage legs themselves look nice. You could probably add a few more bits to them. There's an external PE set for this aircraft as well from Platz and from Eduard. Basically it's the same set. So those look quite nice, and you add some small pieces to the inside of the undercarriage doors. Now to basically the bulk of the aircraft is done now. Step 9 is weapons, mostly assembling the missiles that you can fit underneath if you wish. Step 10 is the second figure, a standing figure that you're given, and also putting together the ladder to the canopy, to the cockpit, if you want to use it. And there's also a couple of chocks in there as well. So it all looks good. You've got some nice little bits there to make a small diorama. Okay, step 11 and 12. 11 in the instructions is just some Japanese text, but what I've been told is that basically says go and paint. So essentially they're saying at this stage paint the aircraft and then come down to step 12 where you start fitting things. Fit the engine exhaust. It does make sense to paint those externally elsewhere. Fit the undercarriage itself and fit the undercarriage doors. So all in all, it kind of makes sense to do what they're saying, paint it first, then start fitting the small parts. Over the page, and step 13. Step 13 is fitting the missiles and pylons. Obviously, if you decided not to fit anything to the aircraft, you can skip this step completely. And on to the last step of the build, step 14. Fit the canopy. There's one more piece to go inside the canopy, inside the cockpit. Some small pieces to fit around the cockpit. At this stage, if you wanted to do the air brake open, you would fit it at this stage. If you want it closed, you put it at step 4. Top right of this area is a couple of insets labelled A and B for the 2 decal options. Option A is an SM2, so this was basically a an SM1 that was upgraded, and B is an SM3, which is basically a new built aircraft built straight to the upgraded standard. So obviously there's a little bit of difference in the aerials there, depending whether it's an upgraded aircraft or a new build aircraft. Finally we'll talk about the decals. Platz's decals are always really good, really detailed. You get all the usual stuff, plus you get all the fine details. See here there's 2 decal options, an SM2, which as I said is basically an aircraft that was upgraded to this standard, an SM3, which is an aircraft that was built from new to this standard. Both are very colourful aircraft and they should look neat. The colouring instructions are in full colour, glossy paper, nice and big, you can see what's going on, lots of detail there. Colours called out in Mr. Colour and Model Master, so those will look good. There's also over the page a very comprehensive placement guide for all the small decals that go in there, and Platz are really good at supplying all these small decals. You'll need a fair bit of time to get all those decals in there. There's going to be a lot of them. So that overall looks really good. So an overall conclusion. These are the best sprues available right now for a Sukhoi 27, so that makes it kind of an easy choice. Lots of other companies have reboxed these as well from the original Zvezda kit. Platz have given you a couple of nice colourful options for this upgraded Sukhoi 27. They've also thrown in a couple of figures as well, which weren't in the original kit. And they've also made some stands out of the boxes as well, to make life a little bit easier for you. So it should be pretty good. Platz have also done their usual with really neat decals. They do decals better than most, in my opinion. You get a lot more detail and the decals work really well as well. So overall it's a pretty neat kit. It should look really nice on the shelf. It's well worth a look at if you're looking for a Sukhoi 27. Many thanks to Platz for sending it along for us to have a look at. And don't forget that we have our giveaway coming up when we get 500 subscribers on YouTube. We'll give away some kits. And then further down the road, I think we'll probably be giving this particular kit away as well, a little bit further down the road after 500. Thanks for watching.